Today, we are talking about a kind of grief and loss that sometimes people don't really acknowledge or want to admit, but it's very real. It's the loss of a pet and how that feels for you, how you can show up as a friend to somebody who has lost a pet. Because as a pet lover myself, who has been fortunate enough to love and be loved by so many animals in my life, I know that that grief and that loss is very real. And today I'm joined by Brent Atwater, who is a pet medium, and she is going to walk us through what does it look like and give voice to that real pain, to acknowledge that it's a real thing. She's also going to help us give language to what it means when you've lost that animal connection that is so important. What does the human animal connection look like? And really, what can we take going forward? And how can we be a better service to ourselves and not diminish that pain if it happens to us, but also how we can show up for our friends? Brent, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you acknowledging that fur babies and fur children matter, because there are people who don't have the sensitivity or the space in their heart, and they say, just a dog, just a cat. But for those of us who have fur children, and for those of us who don't have children, they are our soul, they are our heart.
Oh, absolutely. I say all the time that Miss Bell is my heart walking around outside my body. I'd give her a kidney if we could figure out scientifically if she needed it and how to make it happen. Absolutely. So tell me, how did you get to the space of being a pet medium?
Well, a lot of people are going to say, what's a pet medium? It's somebody who talks face to face with spirits. Most people say I'm a pet psychic. That's a word that means you telepathically talk to them, mind to mind. And that's what 95% of animal communicators are. They talk mind to the pet, and then they translate what the pet said, and then talk to you about what the pet said. I'm a medium, like Matt Frazier or Teresa Caputo, and I talk face to the spirits. The little cats walk up on my desk, and the dogs sit beside it, and the horses come into the room and stand there when I'm talking to them. So that's a difference when people are listening. Well, what's a medium, and then what's a psychic? I've talked to pets all my life from my heart, because they were my heart. Mm-hmm. And if my windows don't have nose prints on them in the car, or there's not fur in my house, it's like, really? In 1997, my fiance was killed. And back in the day, when I was 5 years old, Duke University had a man called Dr. Ryan, and it's called the Ryan Institute. And he started ESP. And in his initial ESP, which is extrasensory perception, he started and tested a group of children in the first grade. I was in that test group for the original extrasensory perception test group.
That's so cool.
And it was. They put stickies on our head, and we played games with these men in white coats. And I didn't know what it was. I was 6 years old, and it's like, hey, we didn't have to do school today. And we would do things like they would take, and my partner at the time was Kenneth Day. And they would take Kenneth Day and they would put him in the gym, and they would put me in the schoolroom, and they'd say, well, what is Kenneth thinking? And he would look at dominoes, and he would read the dominoes, and I would tell what he was reading. And then he would do vice versa. And they determined whether you were senders or receivers. Okay. And I was both. I could send the energy so that somebody else palpably could feel it and get it. And I could receive it so I could hear your thoughts and see what was going on in your mind and know what you're doing.
So let me just stop you. This was an actual scientific study at Duke?
Yes.
Wow. I didn't know.
Dr. J.B. Ryan opened the Department of Parapsychology at Duke. It's called the Ryan Institute now.
Okay.
And he founded ESP, extrasensory perception.
Wow.
And I was one of the cheerings in the testing.
Wow. That's so fascinating.
So then the next thing came along is that Governor Terry Sanford started a group for the gifted. Mm-hmm. And that was his pilot study for all the educational gifted programs around the United States now. Mm-hmm. I was in that group. And a lot of the people in the parapsychology ESP study were in that group. So when we got to be a junior in high school, they said to us, how many of you have voices in your head? About 3/4 of the room raised their hand. And they said, well, we got to tell you, you have to be very careful because it may make you question things and go a little crazy. And you're going, what? And they're saying, we have to warn you, if any of you think about leaving Earth, which they meant suicide, let us know, because some of you might not be able to handle the voices in your head. They actually told us that in class.
Wow.
And so
when you were in junior high.
Yep. I said, yeah, not junior, junior in high school.
Junior in high school.
And 3 people in our class left that way. And then, so I always thought, whatever. And so I always had voices in my head, didn't think anything of it, just sort of threw it away. Move up to 1997, way too long story, but my fiance was killed in a car wreck. And the minute he was killed, everything inside of me just unleashed. And all this, I used to give advice to my friends, oh, don't date him. I'd look at the picture and go, you don't want to date him. He's done this, this, and this. Or, yeah, go on, it'll be hot. And so with that, my gifts unleashed. I went to Duke again, and I said, what's wrong with me? I hear voices, I see things, I see people. What am I going to do? And they said, well, you're a medical intuitive. And I went, what? They said, can you see inside bodies? And I said, yes, I can look inside any body, and I can see your lungs, and I can see your blood vessels, and I can see your liver, and I can see every bit of that. And so I'm one of the few people in the world who can do that. There are not many people who can do that. And Duke documented it, and they just sort of let it go. And so I was looking inside innards and helping people with diagnoses and things like that. And somebody walked in and says, can you talk to my dead pet? And I went, what? And they said, my pet just died. Can you talk to him? And I went, I've never done that before. And they said, would you try it? I went, sure, what? Mm-hmm. And so I just said the same thing. I said my prayer. I asked the pet's permission. Do I have permission to talk to your soul, to your energy? And pet said yes. And I said, okay, Fluffy, talk to me. And this cat standing up, this spirit standing up on my computer, and I'm going, oh, hi. I'm supposed to talk to you. And that started it. And then after that, people would say, hey, she can talk to your dead pet, call her. And
here we are.
And here we are.
So in the work that you have done, do you think that the bond between human and animals is different or similar to the bond between humans and humans? What have you noticed to be the differences?
In my opinion, energy is energy. Okay. The human body has a certain frequency it resonates at. A pet has a certain frequency it resonates at. Either way, the energies resonate together. Mm. So I don't see any barrier unless you set it in your own mind. So because what I have seen is people setting barriers in their own mind about the energy is what changes how they interface.
So I've had my dog, Miss Belle, with me now. Next month, we will celebrate 18 years. So
that's rare.
It is rare. She is very well loved, very well cared for. We had a scare a couple of years back, but we took her to some very good vets here in Georgia, and they helped rehab her. And she's a little grouchy some days, but just very, very spunky. And she definitely was our first child before our son. Our son even knows that he calls her sis, that she was the first baby. And I feel very connected with her, but I love her so much. How can I form more of a bond with her?
When you say form more of a bond, the bond you have is really predetermined when you come to Earth.
Okay.
Because each of you has decided she may be your guardian angel in a pet spirit form. She may be just a pet that's coming to teach you lessons. She may be a spirit guide that's coming to train you and move you through life in different ways. So depending upon what her role is in your life, that determines the connection and the way you can stay connected to her now, which will help when she transitions, because every pet discards its earth suit. And that's the way I like people to think about it, because you have the soul and then you have the pet suit on top of it. Just like you have the human soul and you have the earth suit on top of it.
Like I say,
You're
I've
just
said in other episodes, our bodies are just
you
containers for the soul.
yeah, you're in an earth suit. You're leasing this earth suit, you know? Next time I'm going to come with some different qualifications. And so,
You are fabulous as you are.
and so thank you. So when you have this earth suit and this pet suit, basically the heartbeat that's causing it underneath is the same. But you can practice by learning to feel her energy in your heart. Because I can tell you right now, you already know when she's in the other room moving towards you without her coming, without somebody saying, Belle's on the way.
100%.
See, you're already connected. You're already interfaced. You're already interwoven. And people can also go, oh, I can tell they need to go potty. They're sound asleep on the sofa. What do you mean? No, they need to go potty. I need to go take her out. That connection's already there.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? It's already woven in. So one of the ways you can practice the fact that they're going to transition, because we're all going to drop a suit. They're going to drop a pet suit. You're going to drop your earth suit. You can learn to sit and feel them, very quietly feel them inside yourself. And it's like with your mother, she dropped her earth suit. But if you sit quietly, you can feel her in yourself, because that's energy to energy. That's the purest form there is. And that's what it boils down to, keeping the connection.
So I want to go back to something you said about Belle's purpose. How would one determine? I'm very interested in this now. A pet's purpose in your life at this point in time. I have my own theories about, based on some things you said, what Belle's purpose has been, but just because she has had such longevity with me.
Yeah, I can look at her and tell you about what she is. Yeah.
Well, she is downstairs asleep on the couch, hopefully being good. But tell me, if somebody's listening, how can they determine their pet's role in their life and what it plays?
Okay. First of all, people who are older souls are more aware, because everybody comes aware on earth at different levels. Otherwise, we'd be all doing the same thing. You know, there's young souls, medium souls, old souls, whatever. You're an old soul. I'm an old soul. She's definitely an old soul. And you can take a picture. If I'd known this, I'd had pictures of it. You can take a picture and put a pet by an old soul, and you can look in their eyes and you can tell who's the pet and who's the old soul. Because when you look at an old soul's eyes, you're looking into forever. You just look in their eyes and you know what forever looks like. You just look in them and it's just like, that's forever. And it gives me chills just talking about it, because it is. A pet, you go, isn't he cute? And it's a pet. When you see it's an old soul, then they have a role in your life, a spirit guide pet. And I don't know if I can say this or not. This is my last book. I'm in the final edit up that's telling all this. A spirit guide pet will teach you lessons. And if you have a pet that's been I had a client, the pet was very sick. He had pancreatic cancer. And the vet said, your pet's not going to live. And the girl said, oh, yes, he is. And she got on the internet and started doing like all this stuff to learn how to save her pet from pancreatic cancer. And she has a blog about pancreatic cancer for pets. And he lived like 7 or 8 more years. That pet went through pancreatic cancer to teach her how to benefit and help other people. So that was a spirit guide. You probably got a guardian angel, because a guardian angel goes through your life with you on all the things you've been through. And I will bet that your Belle has through you with your major life transitions and obstacles. A guardian angel is to go with you through stages of life. I like to say they shepherd you through those stages of life. They go through the hard things, the quick things, the things that upset your soul, the things that make your soul thrill. They're there for you. And you talk to them with your soul. You tell them things. You have conversations with them. You dance with them. You talk to them. And you may not tell your friends that, but you do. Mm-hmm. And so, see, you do. And you rely on them. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what they came to do. You are their assignment. And their assignment is to shepherd you through life. And once you understand that, it makes you so grateful to have something so dedicated to the growth of your soul.
Yeah, and that is definitely I mean, you have described Belle to a T. I had so many people because we had her, let me do some math. Seven or, yeah, we had her 8 years before we had our son. And there were people who would say, well, we know you love Belle now and you dote all over her, but it won't compare to when you have your son. She'll be secondary. Absolutely not the truth. And I told them at the time, and it has not been the case. I even had a lot of worry when I was pregnant of how she would feel. Like I never wanted her to feel less than. But to talk about her being a guardian angel, I we found her in a shelter a week before I found out my bar results. She was there for Dan and I to get married. She was there when my grandmother,
Oh,
who
yeah,
helped
she is.
raise me,
Yeah.
passed. She was there when my mom passed. She was there for my birth of my son. She actually started behaving differently towards me and knew I was pregnant before
Mhm.
I even knew I was pregnant.
Mhm.
Um, every small and major, I mean, so many life moments that she has been
That's
a
her
part
job.
of. She,
You're
from
her
our
assignment.
yeah, from our move to Mississippi to finding our forever home. I mean, and it was one of those things that once we found our forever home, I actually brought her to this space and had her walk around the yard because I wanted to see her reaction, to see if
Yeah.
like I wanted her buy-in too. And so, yes, like I am convinced. I didn't have language for it, and as an attorney, I love words for it, but she is definitely a guardian angel
A pet
pet.
suit.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
here's something I have to share with you. Now, this is going to be terrible to say, but hold on. When she transitions, it's going to be as rough as with your mother because people don't understand that. And they'll say, when my dog or cat transitioned, and I use the word transition, that's critical because if you say dead, they think dead and done. If you say transition, people go, well, where'd they transition to? That means the energy drops the earth suit, pet suit, and transitions to the other side. And it's the same energy. It's living. It's living here. It's living in a earth suit. It drops the earth suit. It's living here. So when they transition, I have had people say the death of my dog or my cat was worse than the death of my mom or my dad. And I feel terrible about that. Or it was worse than the death of my grandmother. And I'm going, nope, don't feel bad about that at all. And they go, why? I mean, people beat me up for that. And I say, no, because you're talking about an angel that came to earth to shepherd you through life, to get you through, because most people who have guardian angels came to earth to benefit others. And in doing so, that's why they have this special connection to give them the strength, because you're living a dual life. You're living an earth life and you're living a spiritual life.
Mm.
Your earth life is mom, attorney, and all the things you do, soccer and eating, all that stuff. Your spiritual life is us talking, your blog, your Instagram lifting people up. And so you're carrying two. And so the universe says, she's carrying a lot. We're going to send somebody down to help her. In comes Belle.
Mm.
And you've got this little angel that walks with you through all of that. But let me warn you, it will be as devastating when she transitions from a human point of view, because you're going to have a human grief and you're going to have a spiritual grief.
Mm.
See what I'm saying? But if you understand that she's just dropping a suit, just like your mom just dropped a suit, then you can have that connection immediately, and it continues to fill you up, and it'll be you with Team Bell for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I
You two
can't
will work
even
together.
I can't even think about it. The night we came back to Atlanta after my mom's service, we had somebody house sitting who was a good friend who loves her. That's the other thing is I've always had friends who said, I'll watch Belle because I mean, she just brings people in.
Well, that's
And
what angel energy does. Their energy is so radiant and so
yeah,
compassionate that people swap to them. I mean, I bet people walk across a room to speak to her,
they
and if you
do.
take her places, they flock to her. But here's the thing: she only picks specific people that she likes because angels are
Oh
discerning.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We
Mhm.
joke in the house that if Belle does not want to be around you, then we probably do not need to be around you either.
She's a barometer.
Absolutely. But the night of my mom's service, I walked in and I picked her up and I looked in her eyes and I said, I know your body is getting tired, but I need you to hang on a few more years because I can't do this again
Can't
anytime
do it
soon.
alone.
I
Got
can't do
chills
it.
all over.
Can't do it anytime soon. So why do you think people sometimes diminish the loss of a pet?
When you say people, are these pet owners or people who don't have the connection or sensitivity to an animal?
I don't really know. This whole episode and why I reached out to you is I have a colleague who lost two of his beloved pets very close together. And because I now openly talk about grief at work, he felt comfortable enough to share that with me. And I was so honored that he would share what is hard and heavy for him outside of work. And so it planted this seed of an idea. And he shared with me that some people didn't get it. And so
Okay.
it begged the question to me, because that is such a foreign idea to me, that why do you think people don't get it? Do you think they're closed off? Like what has been your experience?
Well, see, I've been doing this like 31, 32 years now. I think that there's a group of people who don't have a sensitivity to other beings. And pet beings is just part of that group that they don't have a sensitivity to. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. They're just in a different incarnation, a different time frame, different soul evolution. So that's fine. I think there are people who say, oh, just a dog, just a cat, that don't know how to approach you to talk about it. And by blowing it off that way, it abdicates them from having to interact with you and having to examine feelings and having to talk about sensitivities. So I think there's that group. I think there's a group that deals with Rainbow Bridge and says, yeah, oh, he's gone to Rainbow Bridge and he'll be fine. Get over it. No.
Tell me,
And
so
then,
tell me about why you say get over Rainbow Bridge. We hear a lot. They're at Rainbow Bridge. They're going to meet me at Rainbow Bridge. What are your thoughts on Rainbow Bridge?
Rainbow Bridge is not my friend. It's not anybody who has a pet who's dying bridge. Rainbow Bridge is a poem. It is a poem created by a university professor that wrote a poem to assuage the grief of some of his friends. And it's la-di-da, pretty, pretty, pretty.
A nice thought.
But the essence, yeah. But the essence of it is my pet dies and I got to wait till I die to see him again. So that creates a lot of unnecessary grief and pain and angst in people. And so I have sort of made it my mission to be anti-Rainbow Bridge because it's not truth. It's a fairy tale belief that makes you go, ooh, they're going to be okay, but I got to die to meet you. No. Or I can't talk to him till I'm dead. Excuse me, there's like all this time in between that you can be associating with the living spirit energy that dropped the pet suit between now and then. And I mean, people, ooh, there's a whole thing about selling places for your pet in apartments at Rainbow Bridge and all this stuff about Rainbow Bridge. And all that does is set aside your grief and literally blow it off until you die, and then you get to be there. Now, some people think, oh, it's wonderful, he's not in pain. Well, the minute a spirit leaves a earth suit or a pet suit, there's no pain. It's like, gone, none. And you can even watch it. I saw something the other day where there's a nurse who's doing a whole series about grief. Maybe you've talked to her, where in hospice you can see where they've left their body in the eyes, and it's like, there's no pain. The living energy has left the physical being, and the physical being then shuts down. The earth suit shuts down and has certain procedures and ramifications that shut down. But the spirit that gave it the life force is over here alive and well. It's like, I'm here. Let's go do something. And so I believe that people need to be aware that the minute the life force energy slips out of the earth suit, they can have access to their pet or a person's spirit energy if they choose. And so rage doesn't make me happy because a lot of people grieve for years clinging to that. I'm going to die and then I get to meet Fluffy. Excuse me? You could have been talking to Fluffy since the minute he exited his Earth suit the past 45 years.
So, what I'm hearing you say is this concept of Rainbow Bridge actually puts a pause on your connection that you could continue to have with your pet.
Yes. Yes.
So, tell me, how would somebody who is listening go about who is deep in grief? They are missing their pet who has transitioned and dropped their fursuit, and they want to feel more connected to that spirit again. What are some simple things that they can do?
The first thing they can do is stop saying dead. They're not dead, just like your mom's not dead, okay? She transitioned. And by saying transition, you acknowledge the living energy, drop the suit, and it's still living energy. You can't kill energy. That's physics. Energy only changes forms. So energy's in the Earth suit, changes forms out of the Earth suit. Hello. So it's still there. The second thing is, in the universal law, free will choice allows you to cut things off or to accept it. Fluffy's dead. So Fluffy's sitting over here going, really? Talk to me. Well, Fluffy's dead. Seriously, I'm waiting to talk to you. You have to give Fluffy permission to talk to you because they're not going to come down and go, hey, come on, be with me. Because your free will choice determines whether you shut them out or let them in. The first thing is, Fluffy, I'd like you to be a part of my life for every breath I take from now on. That opens the door. Fluffy goes, hot damn, I can go down there and rock and roll with Mom now. Then you'll start getting signs. The next thing is ask. Fluffy's sitting up there going, well, I can't go down there and harass her. The universe won't let me stalk her.
There's stalking laws on the other side.
Yeah, I can't stalk her until she gives me free will permission. So you say, Fluffy, join me. She says, ooh, I can be here now. I like him around all the time, so I'd be going, Fluffy, come on, join me on a shopping trip. Fluffy, come on, join me on this. Fluffy, let's go walk. Fluffy, let's go this. And talk to them as if they, keyword, are alive. They are. The living spirit is alive. Only the discarded Earth suit has been discarded. The living spirit is still alive. So talk to them like they're alive. Ask them for signs. Next thing, people say, well, I didn't get a sign from Fluffy. But maybe, I don't know. You know, it could have been, but I'm not sure about that. Ask yourself, when was the last time this happened? And they go, well, that's never happened to me before. Well, yeah. Do you think that was a coincidence? That's Fluffy going, mm-hmm. And then you can say, Fluff, was that you? And you're hearing yourself, yep. And just ask, be a part of my life, join my life. And they do because they've got nothing else to do but sit around the other side. So A, drop the death. Acknowledge their living spirit. B, ask them to be a part of your life for as long as you want, because you're the only one that can send them away once you activate that. And number 3, ask for signs and let them do. And then they have to learn how to send signs down, and your heart has to learn how to open itself to receive the energy inside your Earth suit. That's it.
I love that. I love all of that. So what do you think, because I have the love of my son, I have the love of my husband, I've had the love of my parents. What makes the love between a pet and a human so much purer and different? What does that look like?
Okay, that's a good question. Say that again. And you have the love of your son, that's one being. You have the love of your husband, that's another being. You have the love of your mother, that's another being. Okay. A pet is a being. You also have the love of a guardian angel, and that's another being. Okay. Each one is a different energy, so that it's a different energy connection. Just like snowflakes, every snowflake is different. Every energy is different. That's the biomarker of the different energies. So that's how when I'm talking to them, I know who I'm talking to because of the biomarker of that energy. You go, yeah, I got Fluffy. No, that's Spot over there, and that's Martha over there. That's how you find them in the spirit world. So when you have that energy, none of them are competing with anybody else. And if you want it, when she leaves her body and discards it, just like here's a fur coat, it's gone. Then you just simply say, send me another pet to love. And she will pick one and send it to you because she knows exactly what you need and what you don't need. And she won't be an angel. She's going, I'm sending her a pet. I'm an angel. I'm not going to get upset about that, because people go, oh, I can't replace them. You can never replace one energy or another energy, because it's two different energy and the connection you have to it is completely different. So replacement, I don't care if you've been divorced 5 times and whatever, and you get married 7 times. You can't replace any connections, always different. It's different energy connections. And that's how the differential is and how you feel for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, the snowflake analogy really resonates with me, because the love between my husband and I is different, obviously, than the love I have between my son. And then, and it truly is irreplaceable. And I think, with the loss of my mom, that was something now I'm really walking into almost a year and a half, not quite a year and a half of her being gone, is that nobody loves me like my mom did.
Wait, and see, I'm going to come back right at you. When you say her being gone,
yeah,
she's not gone. Why do you have that mindset?
You're right.
See, now you need to say her earth suit is gone.
Her earth suit
and
is
that's
gone.
one of the things, and that is one of the greatest gifts you can give anybody. And I'm passionate about this, so if I'm standing too much in your face, I'm sorry, but this is just...
No, Brent, I knew what I was getting into. Give it to me.
Okay, all right. You don't say gone. She's not gone. Her energy is not gone. You're making it gone by saying that. She transitioned. Her earth suit is gone.
Okay.
And that's the thing I tell my clients. The first thing we're going to say is they transitioned. That means energy to energy. Earth energy to living energy. Gone. Nope. Earth suit's gone. They're not. Okay? And by you having that in mind, you're shutting out half to 3/4 of the connection you could be having with her spirit.
Okay. That's going to change today.
And you say transition, that acknowledges she's alive there, she's alive here.
I love that. I love that.
And that just changes the number of signs you get, the amount of resonance you get with them, the connection you get with them. It just changes up everything. But if you say, oh, they're gone, where?
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Sorry.
Because no, you are fine. There is nothing to apologize about. So
I'm passionate about a couple of things. And that's one of them. It's like the verbiage. You got to change the verbiage immediately.
Well, I know, you have a background in law too. And so the words absolutely matter. And that was one reason when, after this colleague shared this idea, planted this seed, and I said, who is the person I want to talk with? And you came up. I was like, bingo, that's her.
Thank you, universe.
Right. So, Belle is turning 18 next month.
Unreal. That's just unreal.
It is.
How blessed you are.
It's true. Is there anything for anybody who is listening now, me being a deep feeler, and loving her so deeply, almost this anticipation, because unfortunately, if I have one question to ask God, I'm wanting to know, why is our time with our pets so short? And some humans who are quite terrible get to live a long life. Why isn't it? Why is our time with our pets so short? But is there anything I can do now, talking to her spirit as we're, snuggling on the couch or having what I call coffee girlfriend time in the morning, to let her know that once she transitions and drops her fursuit, that I still want her to be a part of it? Is it just as simple as talking with her?
Just telling her that. Yeah. When my dog was getting ready, my dog, it wasn't a dog. When Friend was getting ready to transition, I said to him, and if I cry, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Let me know you got to the other side okay. And I saw him, I saw his spirit, I saw him get up, I saw his spirit leave his body. And I was laying down crying, just absolutely crazy. And about that time, my phone lit up, just burp, burp. And I turned over, and his picture is the front of my phone. I wish I could show it to you. Okay.
Oh.
And so my phone just lit up. And I looked over and I said, he's honoring his promise. He's let me know he got there. And then I got the human in me kicked in and I said, don't jerk me around, friend. If this is you letting me know you got the other side, do it again. About that time, the phone lit up again. And then Rick's beside me and he says, what's going on with your phone? I said, it's friend let me know he got to the other side. We made a promise that he would let me know immediately he got to the other side. And he said, I sort of believe in this, but he's not into it fully. Mm-hmm. And so he said, well, I'm not sure about that sort of stuff. And I said, friend, show him. And about that time, the phone lit up again. And Rick just turned pale white and went, okay.
I'm done.
And so you can ask her to give you a sign to let you know that she got to the other side okay. And you can ask her to give you a sign when she's ready to move forward with interfacing with you.
So,
and you can do that with your mother too.
Yeah, so that was going to be my follow-up question. Get out of my head, Brent. For people who are listening who have lost pets, no, you're totally fine. It's just
good job, girl. You asked me to do it.
I know, but for people who are listening whose pets have transitioned to the other side, it's as simple as saying, show me a sign that you have transitioned and that you're still with me because I want you to be with me. Is it that simple?
I'd say that I want you first. I ask you to be with me. I give you permission to be with me. Now show me we're together and let's rock and roll and be together.
I love that.
And so you can do this. I mean, I hate to keep bringing it back to your mom, but this whole thing is, I want people to understand that, and this is not targeting you, it's trying to expand the awareness. A pet isn't lesser than a human. And these things you can do with a pet, you can do with a human because they're just pet suit or earth suit. They're just both living energies.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah. I think I'm totally picking up what you're putting down and that connection. You mentioned how you could feel your pet coming from the other room or they may be asleep and, they have to go to the restroom. Funny story, a couple of nights ago, we're in spring here in Atlanta where sometimes it's really cool at night and it gets hot during the day and you got to switch the heat and the air and vice versa. And so we were getting ready to go to bed and Belle just would not get settled down in the bed. She slept and she kept moving around and she kept moving around. My husband said, Belle, what is going on with you? And I said, Belle, come here, look at me. And I picked her up and I looked at her and I said, she wants another blanket. And he said, are you kidding me? He said like she's like she's calling up housekeeping. And I said, she wants that fuzzy blue blanket in the den. Will you please go get it? Yeah. And he said, okay. So he gets up out of the bed, goes to the den, brings the blue blanket down.
Instantly,
if I'm lying, I'm dying. We spread that out. I put her up beside me where she likes to sleep. She circled up, laid down. We didn't hear a peep from her the rest of the night. She wanted an extra blanket. She was cold. Yeah. But that communication that we have without her saying a word has always just been since we met.
But see, you're honoring it and you're aware of it. A lot of people blow that off and go, nah. Well, my comment to them is respond to it first and say, nah, second, and see which gives you the better result.
Yeah. And I think, being in tune with her, just like I'm in tune with my son and other people in my life, I love that, to your point, pets are not less than our human connections. They are soul, they are spirit, they are love. And if you pay attention, just because I don't hear her like you hear her, but I understand her. I understand her needs.
But see, that's hearing her. You're just doing it a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't walk around. Somebody says, do you walk around and hear all these pets around here? I don't do that. I only hear or listen to a pet when I ask its permission to talk to its soul. It's not right for me to invade them and be going, oh, I know what you're thinking, because that's not honorable. It's not responsible. It's not accountable.
So tell me, what is it? Yeah. So let's transition a little bit. I used that word again. What does a session look like for you? How do you approach it? Is there anything you prepare? What can somebody expect if they say, I want to work with Brent, I want to connect with my pet who has passed? What does that look like?
Well, the first thing I do is I say my prayer to protect me and to ask the pet to talk to me or the person to talk to me. And I ask them permission so that I'm not invading their soul. And I ask that the client and I have no human expectations or filters so that everything, the energy and the information will be pure. And I do that first, and that I'm given the words to help only for the highest and best good of my client. I say that before I do anything, a video, an Instagram, you name it. I've said, give me the words to benefit those I came to serve. And then I start, and then they send me pictures, and the pictures start talking to me immediately. And so they start talking to me. And as soon as they start talking to me, usually I give them all this information, and then I say, all right, we're going to look. Well, what do you want to ask? Well, usually the pet has already given me all the 85, 90% of the information through the pictures. And then they ask questions. And then for those of you who want to know about how the pet died, I look inside the pet's body and tell them, okay, like there was this beautiful golden retriever that was a young golden retriever in Atlanta, and he was 6 months old, and they went into Hardee's to get a hamburger and came out, he was dead in the back seat. And he had died of a brain aneurysm. So and they were all upset. And I said, no, it wasn't your fault. I said, I look inside his body and he's got a brain aneurysm. And so we do that. And then some people want to know about their future with their pet. And then with that, you see energy. I look at past energy, and I can tell if you've been with them in life before. Or we do present energy. And then I do living spirit energy, where they're going to be with you in your future, which they call reincarnation. Or if they're going to be a guardian angel that's going to be part of your spiritual path, like Team Bell for the rest of your life. Well, you're going to have Team Bell for the rest of your life. And people go, well, I'd rather have them reincarnate. Well, no, you really would rather have an eternal connection than a reincarnation, because reincarnation is a quickie. But pets, when they come in, are in for a shorter amount of time because they can create a high impact in your life. And you know that when you get them, you're in a countdown on the body, which is terrible, but
yeah, that's true. So for people who, I think a lot about, society has changed, lifestyles have shifted, and I have a lot of friends who their pets, they don't have human children, but they are their children. They are their real connection. They are their deepest connection. Can we talk about that a little bit, and how if
I'm one of those.
Okay, well, and how people can approach that kind of loss when it happens, because I love people to have tools, and I love us to walk away from each episode saying, this is how I can be a better human to others. What would you want somebody to know who is listening, who has a person in their life who has lost a pet? What would you want them to know that they could do that would feel comforting and nurturing? And even if you are a person who does not understand the love between a pet and an animal, you can still be a good friend.
I would say to them, because I have had a lot of clients who lived by themselves, who had pets as children, and my children all had 4 feet and tails. And because I was unable to have children. And so I had pets. And I think that it's important to, as I said, clients have said to me, I want to leave. I want to commit suicide and be with my pet. You get a lot of those with people who have just pets for children. And I said, no, because if you leave, who's going to tell your pet's story? So what I would do is I would go to those folks and I would say, tell me about Fluffy. I'm sorry you lost him. Tell me about Fluffy. And that way, Fluffy's story goes on.
Yeah.
Through their heart and sharing it.
I think that's beautiful. I know for me, when people ask about my mom, and ask, especially just kind of on a random Tuesday, or if they notice that I have something on that maybe they haven't seen before, maybe a piece of jewelry, or was that your mom's, or tell me about it, that it just lights something up in me. And so I can see how that would do the same for your pet.
It lights your heart up.
And I have to ask, Is Fluffy always your go-to name when you talk with people, or okay, or when you're giving examples? The reason I ask is I am allergic to cats, but I had a dear cat whose name was Fluffy that I rescued. It's the only time I've had a cat as a pet. And I find it interesting that you keep saying Fluffy. And so I was curious if that was just kind of your go-to example, or if that came through.
Yeah, that's my default because most
Sure.
of them are fluffy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're fluffy, and so yeah.
Yeah,
But wow,
she was a cat that my parents couldn't figure out why she kept hanging around the house,
he
and
picked you.
she picked me, and then I also started feeding her.
Mhm.
And then I got caught feeding her, and then my mom said, "Well, I guess she's our cat now." And so she was, and when I was really sick in high school and had bronchitis, she was an outdoor cat because again I had allergies, but she figured
Come
out.
lay on your chest.
Yes, she came and figured out and how to get in my bedroom and hopped up on the bed, and I thought I was having a fever dream, but she was there to take care of me.
You know that the cat can dialysis your energy. A lot of cats who people are sick or who a lot of people who are divorced and they have cats, the cat will come sleep on their heart to pull out the negative energy. There's loads of scientific studies that cats can pull out negative energy and can absorb aberrant energy that's not for your highest and best good in diseases and disorders.
Wow.
So cats have a very medicinal effect, and her coming in when you had that bronchitis to come in and
Yeah.
be near your chest is her being a dialysis for your energy.
Wow. That is wild. Oh my gosh. Brent, we are going to have you, I know, again on another show. And
That'd be an
listen,
honor. Thank you.
I've learned so much from you, and listeners and viewers, stay tuned because I want to create an opportunity for you to learn from Brent too, and maybe find some healing in your process of grief as your pet has
Choose
transitioned.
healing.
Yes.
Let's use the word choose healing instead of find it.
Yeah, choose. I like that. I like that. So
Because
before,
someone said, I can't find it.
yeah. Well, sometimes they need
Choose it.
a little nudge by the way of two overly sparkly loudmouth southern women to help them choose it.
Sure enough.
Exactly. Guilty as charged. So before I go, I always ask my guests 5 questions, kind of rapid fire. And so I call it the Fabulous Five. So here we're really focused on female energy. So what's a life lesson from your mom, your grandma, or one of your female pets that's really wise that sticks with you that you think about a lot?
Learn something new every day and be there for other people, uplift other people.
Love it. In your dark moments when life's gotten really loud, what's something that you do that's nurturing and comforting that kind of helps you, upright the ship a little bit?
Garden.
Garden. Love that. Being in nature, just digging around in the dirt. What's your favorite thing to plant? I have to know. Or to
Flowers.
grow. Flowers. Yeah. Any flowers in particular?
I like bright, colorful flowers.
Oh, I can see that.
Geraniums and all sorts of bright, colorful flowers.
Yeah.
Because I always give them to people. I grow my flowers to give them to people who need them.
I love that. Another way you remind me of my grandmother, I shared this before we started recording, that Brent reminds me so much of my grandmother who helped raise me, but she had this massive vegetable garden and she grew the vegetables, had enough for herself, but then they knew that you could go to Miss Mabel and Mr. Homer's house and they would either give you whatever they had left over. It was not uncommon because they lived in Opelika, Alabama, which is near Auburn University. And yeah, and so they would give away their bounty to college students, and that was just how they served their community, and by growing and giving things away. So just another way you remind me of my grandmother so much. So if you could ask God one question and you're getting an answer, and it can be a question of just today or a bigger question, what are you asking?
Give me this strength and refinement to help those that I came here to serve.
I know that you are. So what's a phrase or a quote that you love that you come back to often? It can be a swear word, it can be a Brentism, it can be anything.
be all you are and not one iota less.
I love that. And then finally, the most sacred or sentimental thing in your home right now.
Sacred or sentiment?
Yeah, like a thing.
My heart connection with those on the other side.
I love that. That's always with you. Brent, thank you so much for being here. Tell people how they can find you and connect with you. And before you even share it, I'm going to tell y'all need to go follow this woman's Instagram account. I hope if I am half as fabulous as she is, when I get to be that a mature age than I am now, I will be doing
I'm
well
old.
in life.
I'm like her grandmother. I'm Nana Brent to her.
You
can call me Nana Brent.
Well, only if it's okay.
Look, I'm glad I got it. My mother was 107. I'm going to be 110.
Yes,
so you can
are.
call me Nana Brent.
I love that. I love that. Y'all need to go follow her Instagram because it is pure joy. So tell them how.
But it's under Age with Style.
It is. Yes. So you have Age with Style on Instagram, but how can they connect with you, especially if they're interested in you helping them choose to connect with their pet who's transitioned? How did I do with choosing?
Good girl.
I learned quick.
Nana's proud of you, honey.
Thank you.
I have a pet podcast called Alive Again. I answer a lot of raw pet questions about connection.
Okay.
So that might help. I have about 10 books on Amazon. They can go over there and find stuff there. And I have a website.
Okay. Brent.
And just go under Brent Atwater, and it tells the stuff I've been doing my whole life.
And it is so varied and so rich and so full. And you were just such an inspiration. Thank you so much for being on this show.
Thank you for allowing me to do this. I hope that we have helped just one heart today understand it's just transition and that energy never dies. It's forever. And open your heart to the never-ending love connection that you have with both your humans and your pets. And that's from Nana Brent.
I love that. Well, Mama Sharon used to say that too. Energy never dies. It just transfers form. So it's very not coincidental that you would say the same thing that she always did. I appreciate you.
It's real. And there's no reason to hurt by not allowing it in your life. It's not frightening. And people say, well, it's dark and the haints are doing it. No, it's a heart connection.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it pure.
Yeah.
It comes
Thank you.
from your heart.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing your heart with us. Okay. Well, that's it for today. You can ache for who you were before it all changed and still become someone new. Grief and growth sit at the table, passing notes when we're not looking. This tea, this time, is part of your healing, and it's part of mine too. You're not broken, you're just brewing. And besties, we do not gatekeep around here. If you heard something that touched your heart, if a friend came to mind while you were listening to this episode and you know they just have to hear it, then pass it along to them. Follow and come back next Tuesday. Your seat at the table will be waiting. Follow along on Instagram at How Do I Do This Pod and on YouTube at How Do I Do This Pod. DM me on Instagram and tell me what kind of grief you're holding right now. Seriously, I'll read every one and will probably be the person to respond back. Tell me what you have tried that you think might help me. I'm open to trying anything that's not illegal. Your story might find its way into one of our future episodes.